like to welcome you to another edition of Scott Spears Now. Today we tackle an issue that's been really in the forefront of the country, all the news channels, newspapers, so on and so forth. It is the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case. It came to our town of Marion on July the 19th as a group of teenagers decided to stage a protest on Center Street, and we've brought them in today to talk about that particular event and all the comings and goings since then and why they did it, which we will find out right now. By the way, we are broadcasting from the 5th floor of the Harding Hotel, which is a new studio for us. Hope you enjoy it, and we certainly enjoy being at the Harding Hotel, and thank everybody for being able to join us this week. Now we're going to switch over to the group here. Now everybody tell us your name, full name, and age. We'll start over here.
I'm Kai Scott, and I'm 15.
Kaylee Abrams, I'm 15.
Matthew Hughes, I'm 13.
Okay, now those are pretty young ages to be involved in a protest. Now, who came up with the idea?
It was on Marion News on Facebook. We liked the page, and they said that they were meeting outside of City Hall for anybody that was interested, and we were all interested, like right then.
Mm-hmm.
There was no question.
Now, it was Marion News who organized it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you remember the organizer's name?
It wasn't given.
Wasn't given. So they just said it was going to happen, and
Yeah.
how many people showed up?
8 people.
Eight people.
Total.
Yeah.
Now, was one of the people the person who
No.
started? No, they didn't even. Okay,
no.
they didn't show up. Was it mostly young people or older people?
We were the only 3 that were younger there, I guess you could say.
And the rest were over 20?
They were
I
over
guess, yeah.
30.
Over
they were
30.
older.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting because this didn't happen in Ohio. It didn't happen in Marion. And so I'm kind of interested why you decided to take a Friday evening and do this. And we'll start over here this time.
The reason why that we decided to do this is because me and the other 7 people that was up there would think that George Zimmerman should have been found for either murder or manslaughter from the proof that put it against him, which should have been brought into further hands than just the Florida judicial system.
Now, why were you going up there?
Because our whole America is falling apart, and nobody understands why, but yet they let people get away with murder. And when I found out he was not guilty for something he did, and the police told him to stop and don't follow him, that got to me, and I was so upset.
I mean, as an African-American teenager, to know that a fellow African-American teenager was killed for just walking down the street wearing a hood, I mean, that hits home no matter what.
Now, are the 3 of you friends?
Yes.
Before
Yes.
you went there?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was decided to go together. And I also read, and I'm not sure if it's right or not, but you wore hoodies as you protested?
Yes.
Yes, us 3 did.
Yeah, and what were the signs? Because there were signs, weren't there?
One was honking, honk for Trayvon.
One was justice for all.
One had a bag of Skittles, a tea.
We held tea and Skittles,
Yeah.
so people knew, like,
And
It's not
another
right.
one was just show your support.
it basically stated, like, if she was to walk down the street with a black hoodie and I was to walk up behind her and shoot her, they're going to let me go. But it doesn't make sense. Like, why would I get to be free? But if she shot me, it would be a different story, and she would be put in jail right then.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, see, because here's the story as it is in most people's mind, because I've seen this argued out on internet, newspapers, television, everywhere, even in Florida. The idea is this is not about race, so they say. This is about being suspicious, and this is about Trayvon Martin attacking George Zimmerman once he did get close enough to him. Do you feel it's just about violence, or is it about race?
I mean, anybody can be racist, whether you're black, white, Chinese, whatever. You can be racist against somebody else. You can be racist against sexes. Like, really?
I think you're right, but I think the argument that people would give is that this particular case was not about race. This particular case was about Martin attacking Zimmerman and beating him up pretty badly, and he felt his life was in danger, and that's why he pulled the gun out and shot him.
But he put it on himself because he called the police, told them what was going on. They said, he's not harming you, he's not doing anything to you, stop following him.
Mm.
He continued following him, so he brought it on himself.
Right. So if, like you said, if we reversed it, and it was a white person in a hoodie and an African-American person who got out of their car and walked up behind the white person and shot them. Now, it's your contention that that person would have been found guilty?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because the whole Marion, I know for a fact, have become a big thing about race, even at school. Like, people are judged because of their color, and it really gets to me because you could even be part Mexican and somebody is talked about because they are part Mexican.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who don't go to school, how is that? What happens?
Walking down the street, and if I was walking with her and somebody was looking at me, I'll just kind of wave, and they flick me off.
For that reason.
Right, because
For
if
me,
when I walk with him, nobody flicks us off. They'll wave back.
It's
Like-
because we're Caucasian.
for
And
me, I don't like to associate with the stereotypical African American because I hold myself at a. I don't like to be the stereotype. So whenever I'm in class and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Kai, come join us," I'm like, "No," because I don't want people to look at me wrong and get the wrong idea.
This is difficult. It's a difficult conversation to have, I think, and I think this question needs to be asked because I'm not sure that people who are Caucasian, white, understand what it's like in 2013 to be African American or Asian or anything Hispanic other than Caucasian. What goes on in a typical day that would not happen to a Caucasian that would happen to you?
I get followed in stores, like even though I would never steal. I mean, I did when I was little. I didn't know any better, but I would never steal. But I'll go into a store and somebody will constantly be looking at me, walking around the corner, just to make sure I'm not picking up anything I'm not supposed to, or to make sure I'm not stuffing things in my pocket. But anybody who knows me personally, they know I'm not that kind of person. I would never steal. I don't do drugs, whatever, whatever.
When this happens, how does it make you feel?
I mean, me, I kind of just brush it off, ways of society. But to other people, I know it really gets to them, and it really, then they feel like, why do I have to be black? Or why do I have to be Mexican? And then I believe that's part of the reason for suicide. But for me, myself, I brush it off. You can think what you want.
The story goes, I think in most people's minds, that the young generation now, anybody under 18, it's going downhill, and they don't care about anything. Well, to me, this shows that people do care. What do you say to those people who say people under 18 just don't care about anything?
I want to laugh in their faces because I care. I have a dream. I want to grow up, be a nurse, have a family. I mean, not everybody in the world just doesn't care.
What do you think? When people say kids under 18, they just don't care like they used to. They don't know what's going on. They're too busy with their cell phones and texting and computers. They don't care about anything going on.
I feel like it's true because there's nothing for people to care about anything that's going on. Because people are getting away with stabbing themselves in the bathroom just to see if they bleed, running out with blood all over the hallway, and people just brush it off like he did it on himself. And Marion, let alone the whole United States, is falling apart. So I'm with them sometimes. I'm just like, why care? Why do I sit here and care what's going on? People are just going to keep stabbing themselves, bringing drugs into the school, and nobody's going to do nothing. They just, somebody was smoking in the bathroom. Nobody goes and checks it out. Nobody suspends them or kicks them out of school.
Well, it's interesting because I'm giving the perspective of what an older person would think of a younger person. What does a younger person think of the generation 30 plus now?
I'm kind of scared to know what's going to go on because you have people, us three, try to step in, try to pick things up off the, like trash off the sidewalks. We try to recycle. We try to do things like that, but when we're walking, we see teenagers and people our age just throwing trash all over the place, not caring, doing drugs, just walking down the streets doing drugs. I'm scared for what we are going to be like in 30 years.
Why be involved? Why people feel that young people aren't involved? Same question. Why are you involved? Do you feel it important to get involved in causes?
Yes, I really do think it is important to get into causes only if you agree with it, because if you have people that are that motivate people, that'll encourage them to do the same in a later situation.
Mm-hmm.
Say, right now, if another thing would go on like Trayvon Martin and then it got as big as it did, maybe what the protests that did would have maybe took the number from 18 or 8 to 16 or 8 to 24 and may doubled or tripled, and that'll make us feel better to encourage more people, and it'll make them feel more to encourage more and more and get bigger.
When this was going on, were a lot of cars honking?
Yeah, more
Yeah.
than we thought would.
Yeah.
Did you receive any disagreeing opinions?
Two people flicked us off.
Yes,
Yes.
From their
including
car.
One
Yes.
being across the street from us.
Well, now,
CCWs.
yeah, we should bring this up, that while this went on, I was not there, but what was it? There was a group that was right across the street from you
Yes.
guys,
With tasers,
With
And guns.
Weapons.
tasers and
Yes.
guns. How many of them were there?
There were
Seven.
six.
There
Seven.
were six.
Six?
That lady just happened to walk over there and start talking to him.
Now, what was the age of this group?
Older.
They were
Older.
all older.
Yeah.
What was their, were African American, Caucasian?
All Caucasian.
All
Caucasian. Now, you say guns and tasers. Now, what do you mean? Pointing them on them? What was
They
it?
had them on their side so we could see them. They made it known they had them on them like they were going to do
There was
something.
one, he was showing everybody his gun and whatever.
It didn't scare me because I know I'm doing the right thing. No matter who judged me, because there was only 8 of us, I knew I was doing the right thing out there, showing people I care, and I'm coming up. I'm going to be an adult soon, so people better watch out, because I'm going to, if you're wrong, if you did something, I'll be out there standing by myself if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
So you felt this was their way of intimidating you?
Because they didn't
Yes,
even
probably.
live here. And they came here and said they came here to get people to sign up for the right to have a gun.
Yeah.
Now, there were some local citizens there, though, weren't there? I thought I read that there were some local. I think one, I'm sure that, yeah, there
Two,
were some
yeah.
locals there.
One of them also spoke on ABC6 News, the same that I did.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to bring up the name right now, but he was one of them who also spoke.
And what did he say for those who did not see that?
He had said in the lines of, "We thought justice has been served in the George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin case, and what we was doing, we had the right to, in the I believe he said the First Amendment, that we have the right to stand out here the same as they do, and that the honks
Second Amendment, we have the right to bear arms, which
Yeah.
yes,
that
yeah.
is true.
But you didn't have to drive all the way here to prove that, because we already know. We go to school, we learn our education.
Did they have signs about honking, or I mean, what was
No.
the?
No,
okay.
Sat
they
there.
pretty much had like a list, and they were signing people up for,
CCWs,
yeah, for gun toting.
gun permits.
Were a
Yeah.
lot of people doing that?
No.
Not
No.
that we
No.
saw.
Not
There was
that we-
one person.
One person who did this.
Mhm.
Did anybody say anything to this group over here? You know, the adults are here, the kids are over here. Did any of the cars, people walking down the sidewalk, notice what was going on and say anything?
Yes,
Yes.
one guy walked by us and said, what did he say? You,
Behind me, he said, "You guys are sick," and I said, "Why are we sick?" And he said, "Because you guys are doing something unjustly," or something like that. And I said, "Well, nobody asked your opinion." And he walked away and he said, "Well, you're sick." And I said, "Well, thank you for your opinion."
So protesting is rough.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Now, in Marion, Ohio, because that's where we are, where do you feel the majority of people fall on this issue? Are they pro the right thing happened there and Zimmerman should have gotten off, or are they the wrong thing happened and it was murder?
They believe the right thing just because
That's how it happened.
I
That's how it
would
played out.
probably say 2 to maybe 300 cars, if not more, had went by that street in the hour and a half, 2 hours that we were there, and maybe 40 honks, maybe.
Maybe a little more. I think
And
we
that's
had a little
showing 1/4 of the majority of people that have drove by there is for the issue, and the other ones are against it.
more. Or
And
they just didn't care.
and if you would put that into a 20,000 people, that's 5,000 to 20,000, and that just shows that Marion, I believe, is a racist town, and I'm not racist myself, but the people in our society today, not only the United States, Canada, anywhere in the country, you're going to find racism, and you're going to find cases like this that is not always getting big like this.
Now, people who hear this, because we are in Marion, are going to say, Marion's a racist society. We don't feel we are. Why are we?
I mean, it's apparent.
How
Like-
so?
Like I said, from my point of view, it is apparent. You know, you get those, those stares, those dirty glares for no reason. What have I done to you? You're judging me because I'm black, because I didn't choose my color.
For the people, because it's interesting how this all played out, because it seems to me like your group that day protesting was saying that this was a race issue and justice was not served. But the opposite group was saying that justice was served, but made it a gun issue. Because I'm
Yes.
not sure they made it a race
Yes.
issue. It didn't seem like it was a race issue. So, okay, let's say this. Where do you feel on gun rights in this country?
I mean, carry your guns. But if you see somebody and they look suspicious, don't shoot them. Go question them instead. What are you doing out here,
Right. But they would say, people would say, that's what happened. He went to question him, and then Martin got violent with him.
Well, I don't think that's true. If you go to question somebody, why would they beat you up? That
Eh.
just doesn't make sense. You had to have threatened their safety in a way for them to even strike you or something.
I think that's where we all come down on this. I think people who've drawn their opinions for whatever reason are trying to figure out why, even though he was told not to do this, why did he attack him? What was said? What happened?
Because you would feel unsafe if you have a person following you from the store and to your from the store to your house, and he was there at his father's that weekend, and you would feel kind of unhappy. I do when I walk sometimes. When I got somebody following me, I will walk across the street and see if they're following me, and I'm gonna turn around and be like, why are you following me? Or, and if I know that he's a security watch person, what gives him the right to follow me if I'm not violating anything, if I'm not harmful to nothing?
Carrying Skittles in an Arizona tea. That does
Yeah.
not make sense.
So is violence justified in that case?
Yes.
It is. No? Yes, no, why?
I mean, violence did come out, but I don't agree that just because the marks on the back of his head, you're double the weight as him, you're double the size as him. You can fight back. Put him down to the ground until the police come. You don't gotta kill him. And if you're gonna shoot him where it don't kill him.
And in that case, he should have got manslaughter. Like if he was defending himself, like truly defending himself, like you can pin somebody down, whatever. He was twice his size, but if you're defending yourself, why would you aim towards the chest?
Put your
Why don't
fist
you
up and fight like a man.
Warning shot. Oh, but then again, you'll get charged for that too.
We started this conversation talking about race. So again, just for clarification, because I know the majority of people will argue that, and I'm sure those people across the street would argue this also, They will say that this was about protecting yourself, the right to protect yourself. That's what this was about, and that's why justice was served. I think that's their opinion. You seem to feel it was more about race. Why?
I mean, I don't feel like it was about race entirely. Initially, it was about race, and then when you get down to violence or whatever, one of the arguments was, how aren't you dead if he smashed your head up against the concrete so many times? Why weren't you unconscious? You were perfectly able. Like, there had to be something wrong with you if you got your head smashed on concrete by somebody who's so strong, but he had a couple scrapes.
And there was uh, the reason why I think it's racist is because George Zimmerman is Mexican and Caucasian, and I heard from a couple people he can't be racist because he's Mexican. You can be racist against your own race. You really can. And what we thought brought him in, because if it would have been a white male in the same situation of that night with a hoodie and a bag of Skittles and Arizona sweet tea, he wouldn't have followed him. I don't.
Okay, I've heard that. Now, why wouldn't he have followed him?
Because he wouldn't have looked as suspicious.
Because it seems that always Caucasian people, if you could be dressed as a straight thug, but carrying Skittles and an Arizona tea, you don't have nothing, no drugs, no nothing. You're walking, they're not gonna suspect anything. So why, since he's brown, and with a hoodie, why was it suspicious? Why did you feel your life was in danger? There's no reason.
So, and this is a very important conversation because if we get to that exact point, that the whole reason, because as I see it, nobody would have been killed had nobody gotten out of their car. So, if that's the case, if he got out of the car because he looked suspicious, and he looked suspicious because he was not white, what do we do? Where do we go from here? How do we fix that?
I mean, that's a really hard question because in school, racism isn't as showing because everybody will talk to whoever's in the class just to pass the time. But as soon as school's out and you see them on the street, they may, oh, I don't know that person, you know. But for people that are older and used to live back when it was okay to be racist, then it's going to be harder to change their minds.
If in history, obviously you were not alive 30, 40 years ago, but knowing history, do you feel things are better now or worse now?
Worse.
Worse. Why worse?
Just because when slavery was going on, the issue had been calmed down in the South, and the North was not very racist. And now that people's been moving up from the South to here, it's like a disease. It's like cancer. It spreads. Racism spreads. So when it comes up north, it's going to spread. And it has gotten twice as worse of the people that's been murdered, and the reason why a lot of African Americans are going to jails that they did not accuse. They go to jail for little small things, and these Caucasian people are walking away with kidnapping, killing somebody. Lately I heard a story, I cannot remember, but killing some child after raping them, walks away. And if it would be a black person, they would go to jail.
Do you think anybody would admit they were racist?
No. And
Yes.
that's the problem. The racism is still here. It's not going anywhere. Maybe with upcoming generations, but it hurts more when you're hiding it.
Do you think they hide it, or do you think they believe they're not? Deep down, believe they're not.
Believe it or
That's
not.
a hard question because some people will try to hide it from themselves, but they find themselves making racial comments or thinking racially.
Well, this case has certainly touched a lot of people's nerves. I think this discussion certainly proves that. wrapping this all up, because I think the discussion will continue about black, white, and certainly gun laws, but what would you say to somebody watching this program right now about the whole situation, your summation of feelings, your summing up of feelings about the whole thing, and also what your protest was able to do, and maybe those people across the street, or what you feel that you accomplished, or where we are now. Just parting thoughts, and we'll start over here.
Be like, I heard this before, it was a saying, be like a baby. A baby doesn't know race. A baby knows no harm. Be like a baby. Because if a baby sees a black person, they're going to be like, shh, look at him, look at her. You know, they're not going to be racist towards it. So I think everybody should go back, be a child for a little bit, how they used to play with everybody, they didn't discriminate, but apply it to older age.
I feel like I've accomplished letting the world know, because there were so many cars and a bunch of Marion drove by, letting people know that I am coming up, going to be an adult, and I will not stand for it. I will do whatever to put an end to somebody walking down the street. If you're going to try to hurt them, I'm going to step in front of them, walk in front of them. I'm not going to let it happen. I will go to jail if you're going to be racist.
And, I mean, what we did will not put George Zimmerman in jail for murder. It's not going to have him charged with anything. But it's going to let the people coming to know, and let the people know that we're not afraid to say he's guilty. We're not afraid to say that, we're not afraid to come out and tell the population. We think he should be in jail for what the crime that he had committed, the act that he had done. We think we're not as scared to do that at all.
I mean, at the very least, he should have at least got manslaughter, accidentally killing somebody.
So does it all end on this day for you guys?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
what's next? Where are we going? What are we going to do?
I'm going to continue letting people know I'm not racist. Going to continue to try to convince them not to be racist. If I see it, people make racist jokes all the time. I'm going to tell them, don't say it around me. Make it known, like, don't, because I'm one of those people.
Try to spread the word as much as we can. Just try to get the word out,
Change people's minds.
and try to speak to more people. Just not like I also spoke on the news and the newspaper, and now on this, but there's also more things. Like I'm gonna try to talk to a couple people, and I'm gonna try to see if we could do some more stuff like this to talk to not only a bigger crowd, but to get it to more people than just Marion, but try to get it to maybe just a couple other counties. That just encourages us to do more.
If somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they do it?
Facebook.
Facebook,
that's the
You
way
can
of the
hit
world
Facebook.
now.
Facebook.
Yes.
or my phone.
Okay,
Yeah.
Facebook, what's the name again for people who want to know?
Matthew Hughes with one T, and just look me up from there, or you could also get a hold of me on my cell phone.
Okay, and do you want to give that number, or do you
Yeah.
want to? Okay, go ahead.
It's 740-341-2172.
Well, I tell you what, as I said when I saw it in the paper, and that's where I first became aware of it, I think, irregardless of which side of this issue you come down on, I think you certainly should be commended for what you do, because I don't know a whole lot of people under the age of 20 who are doing things like this, and I think that's important to stay involved in things beyond Taylor Swift and magazines and things beyond that. So thank you for coming on, and if you ever have anything to say, I hope you do come back. Okay? Hey, thank you for tuning in to Scott Spears Now. Certainly a very interesting episode with some people who want to speak out. Courageous kids, young adults. Scott Spears headed for the dugout.